Hi, I'm Rich Breton. Welcome to Heritage Park Railroad Museum in Union, New Hampshire. To help you better understand the reasoning and the location of this layout, take a look at this 1915 map of the Boston and Maine Railroad. We've marked the location of the main line from Union to Ossipee. This map shows both the actual location of the museum in Union as well as the section of the railroad modeled within the museum exhibit. The 5 villages which are modeled from north to south are North Wakefield, East Wakefield, Wakefield, Sanbornville, and Union. The actual track diagrams from the Boston and Maine Railroad were developed into this model railroad as shown on this hand-drawn track plan. This quick overall view of the layout shows the 5 villages of Wakefield. The first one you're seeing is Union. That white freight house is the building where that layout is actually located in. Then you have the passenger station, the blacksmith shop, the Union Hotel. Then this goes into Union Meadows with the Excelsior Mill. And then we quickly progress over to where Level Lake was. This is a coal shed that was the fueling point for the locomotives. Then on the back wall, you see the Sanbornville freight house, the Sanbornville passenger station. In the corner, you have the roundhouse itself. You can see the town hall out in the corner. Then you quickly get into Wakefield with an ornate passenger station. Then you can progress through a couple of brooks. Then you enter East Wakefield. This is a very busy section of the layout. The Victorian house, and there's the passenger station itself. Then you see the freight house. And then along over here, you now go into our last village, which is the village of North Wakefield. Now we're going to go back south and look at this area in a little more detail. This first area you see is our workshop, which houses the staging area, which we refer to as Dover. In the middle of the wall, at the edge of the wall, is where the Milton station is. And then we quickly get into a scenic area of the layout where you get to see some of the details. This past year, we've made a lovely beaver pond with beavers cutting down trees and such area. Visitors often like this area. The marshy area, you'll notice you can see a moose and other critters and other things, details there. We then have a highly detailed sawmill with a complete interior that was donated to us. It was built into this area. It's about a half a mile from where the museum is located. And then you can see in here, there's a lot of other details along there. The waterways and the dam and things like that was used to power the sawmill itself. Before we head a little further north, let's take a quick look at these 2 screens that are built into the fascia. There's a monitor that's built into the fascia that's showing the camera car going by. And on the right screen, you're actually seeing the image from the camera car on a second monitor. These are built into the fascia. You can see what that looks like. And at the same time, you can also change it so you can see what trains are going by on the North Wakefield area. Continuing north, we arrive in the village of Union, which is very interesting. All of these structures you see, many of them are still existing, were all scratch built. You can see the freight house, the passenger station as it was in 1909, the Union Hotel, the blacksmith shop, and other buildings that are there. It's quite interesting for visitors as they can see the same buildings right outside the freight house in actual what they look like today. One of the 5 villages that we model, one of them is Union, New Hampshire, is where the freight house is located. This building right here is a scratch-built model that represents the freight house as it looked in 1909. This building is what houses the model railroad displays. It was actually built in 1875. A lot of the buildings in the village of the Union are still buildings that are there. We modeled 1909, so the Union passenger station is as what it looked like in 1909. The current passenger station, which has been restored across from the tracks, was built in 1911, 1912. And when they opened that, they tore this building down over here. Some of the other buildings you're noticing over here is the school that was up on top of the hill. The trains used to bring students by train to go to the school. This is a very interesting building over here. This is a Union Hotel. That building still exists today. It's the Wakefield Resource Center. That building was a terminus of the railroad in 1854. And if you went further, you would go by stagecoach. So a lot of the details that are on the layout represents what life was like in 1909. Across the way is what they call the Flatiron House. That was the post office in 1909. Some of the smaller houses that are located in the area are still there as well. This blacksmith shop is one of our newest additions to the layout. This is the Union Blacksmith Shop, located on Bridge Street in the village of Union. It has fully scratch built and follows the historical aspects of just a real blacksmith shop that still exists. The door has working hinges, and if we look, you can see inside of it a fully detailed interior. You see the forge works. It's got all the parts inside you can see, including a post vise, a wheelwright on top of the water in real life as it is in the model. So it was carefully placed inside, and the rest of the Envirotex was poured. With that effect, you can see the doors on the other side here. This is the village of Sanbornville, and you're looking at Level Lake. Where these ice cars are located were 3 large ice houses, and they transported about 100 cars of ice per week in this area. If you look over in this area, this is the large coal shed. This large coal shed was used to refuel the locomotives, and Sanbornville was a division headquarters until 1911, when they have a devastating fire in the roundhouse. You can see behind the coal shed is a wood shed where we still had wood-fired locomotives. You can see out in that area, we're zooming into that locomotive is the Ossipee. It belonged to the Eastern Railroad, which was acquired by the Boston and Maine in 1884. If we continue on the village of Wakefield, you can see in this area is the large passenger station, and there's a local passenger train that has stopped here at this point. You also see a camera car arriving on the back track. That's a local freight. So this area of Sanbornville had the Sanbornville station. The right part of it had a large restaurant that could serve up to 150 people in a half an hour. You can see the Sanborn house in the back. The area in the back is all photo backdrops. You can see that area, with the Sanborn house is actually a line drawing that was made by a local artist. Then we continue around, you can see the engine house, the roundhouse, and the turntable out in the front of it. You can see that carpenter shop, or the car shop where they would repair cars. Then you have a general store, the Garvin building, and then we go on to the town hall, which was built in 1875. Town hall has working clocks, as well as a bell tower with a sound module in it. Visitors can press the button, but it actually rings every 15 minutes using the train controller software as well. The local freight train is arriving in the village of Sanbornville. All the trains are automatically controlled with train controller software. And you can see likewise the passenger train is arriving. It's a local passenger train. The smaller building you see in the front was the Pioneer Press building. The only building that had electricity in 1909. It generated itself. It's where the black stack is. We also have lights inside the building. You can see the train departing in the rear track, and then the passenger train is departing in the front. Train locomotive number 27 is actually being controlled manually, which we do as local freight is passing behind the woodshed. We allow visitors to run these trains as long as they stay within the range and things like that. All of our structures are scratch built. You can see as number 27 is approaching the woodshed and the coal shed. The large coal shed was built by Bill Gaver. This is the village of East Wakefield portion of the layout. This is one of my favorite ones, and I've actually made a clinic before on how the scenery and stuff was done in this area. So as we're approaching it from the north, this is the freight house, and then you go into the passenger station. This is the reason we model September 1909. There was a fire in September 26 in 1909. So we're actually modeling 2 weeks prior to the fire. You look at the scenery in here, you can see a combination of the clouds were all painted. It kind of frames the layout. Lee Gridley from Ossipee had painted all these clouds. The bottom part is a light blue with white mixed together, and then all of the backdrop that you're seeing are actual real photos that we took. We went up on one of the farms and actually got 270 degrees of photos. This is only about 2 feet deep. We actually have intentional made the buildings in the back smaller. These buildings are HO scale. This is 3/4 of HO scale. And that's an N scale paper model actually of a school. And then you can see how that road wanders out through there to make it look like it's much further away. A lot of the vehicles and stuff, this was a very busy station. This was the station agent's area and the post office for a while. And then over in here, we've got some of the waterways that were actually modeled to match that. So you can see some of the cows in the barn out in the back are actually N scale to again make that look further away. So it's a very interesting part of our layout. So. The last village model is the village of North Wakefield, which was named Mathews. Here you'll find the Mathews station, which was a small combination flag stop station. It has a fully detailed interior. It was one of the first models made about 12 years ago. It has a lot of interest and details around it. The model railroad continues just north of this to what we call the Ossipee Mountains. It eventually continued just past North Conway to Inner Vale, where it interchanged with the Maine Central. Before we end the escorted layout tour, we'd like to share a few moments of the trains in action. These trains are controlled by train controller software, so the trains are all running automatically. Thank you for visiting Heritage Park Railroad Museum. Please visit us again in person during the Concord Flyer NER convention this coming September.